Now, I will first speak on the delicate part before I go to the pleasure. Are you there? So when Adam looked at Eve and he said, "This is the flesh of my flesh," he's saying a lot of things. Are you getting what I'm saying? Because um, flesh is a delicate organ. Are you getting what I'm saying? Very delicate. When you cut the flesh, maybe you cut, for example, if a person cuts his flesh, what will you observe? When you cut your flesh, you get wounded. Are you there? And this can even lead to bleeding. That's what happens when you injure your flesh. Are you there? You get wounded and it leads to bleeding. In that case, you see blood being released. Are you there? Why? Because the flesh has been punctured. Are you getting what I'm saying? So when Adam said, "This is the flesh of my flesh," he's saying this person now is delicate. I have to ensure that I handle her with care so that she will not be injured, so that she will not be wounded. When you see a man shouting at his wife, shouting at, they are not even married, they are just in a relationship, and the brother is just shouting, getting aggressive, beating her, that brother lacks understanding. You see, don't just agree to go into relationship with anybody. Ensure that the revelation of the bone of my bones and the flesh of my flesh is clearly understood by the person. This is why some of you still need to go over this teaching again from the beginning till now, so that you need to understand what it means to be the bone of one's bones and the flesh of one's flesh. Are you there? If a person is the flesh of your flesh, you must understand that that person is delicate. Is she someone that must be handled with care? Not somebody you shout at. Not somebody that will see you and she will get scared. No. Are you there? This delicate part of it must be clearly understood. Are you with me? Because she is the flesh of your flesh. How do you handle flesh? You handle flesh with care. Because it can get punctured. And any little puncture you expose your flesh to will lead to bleeding. As we go further, you understand what I'm saying. So, why then did Adam refer to Eve as the flesh of his flesh? You discover that there's no plural, there's no s added to flesh. In the case of bone, it was bone of my bones. But in the case of flesh, it was flesh of my flesh. In the I don't even know how to put this thing now. See, when we speak of bones, when we speak of bone, are you there? The male, the man has more bones than the female. I explained that in my first teaching on Thursday. So you may listen to that so that you can understand what I'm saying. I explained that on Thursday. When we say bone of my bones, it means that the man has many bones and the woman is just one of the many bones that the man has. But when you say flesh of my flesh, it means that it is now one. The man one flesh, the woman one flesh. Are you there? In the realm of bones, the man is more than the woman. But in the realm of flesh now, both of them are equal because it is just one flesh, one flesh. It's different from bone, one bone taken from bones. Are you getting what I'm saying? So, the flesh of my flesh, that statement means that from that statement, there are two revelations that we can picture from there. Number one, Adam is saying he is flesh. And number two, Adam is saying his wife, Eve, is also flesh. What that means is both of them needs to be handled with care. Both of them are delicate. So the same way the husband should not shout at the wife, should not abuse the wife should not also abuse the husband because they are flesh. They are both delicate. Are you getting what I'm saying? Now, when I begin to talk about the flesh being delicate and things, most of us we think about woman alone. No, both of them are flesh. Are you there? The same way the man is not expected to abuse the woman is not also expected to abuse the man. Because any little puncture on the man, he will bleed. And any little puncture on the woman will also bleed because both of them are flesh. Take note. I think you need to listen to that first teaching to understand what I'm doing now. Now, take note. You know, bones are hard. Are you there? But flesh is not hard. Are you getting what I'm saying? Now, this will now mean that the same way the man can bleed, the woman can also bleed if punctured. There are things the woman will do that will puncture the man and it will begin to bleed. There are things the man will do and it will puncture the woman and she will begin to bleed. This is why in some relationship, though they are together, but they find it hard to forgive each other. It's a sign that one of them is bleeding. That flesh has been punctured. You see two people in a relationship and they find it hard to forgive each other due to something that has been an offense that has been committed is a sign that the flesh has been punctured. Now, when I begin to talk about the flesh being delicate and things, most of us we think about woman alone. No, both of them are flesh. Are you there? The same way the man is not expected to abuse the woman is not also expected to abuse the man. Because any little puncture on the man, he will bleed. And any little puncture on the woman will also bleed because both of them are flesh. Take note. I think you need to listen to that first teaching to understand what I'm doing now. Now, take note. You know, bones are hard. Are you there? But flesh is not hard. Are you getting what I'm saying? Now, this will now mean that the same way the man can bleed, the woman can also bleed if punctured. There are things the woman will do that will puncture the man and it will begin to bleed. There are things the man will do and it will puncture the woman and she will begin to bleed. This is why in some relationship, though they are together, but they find it hard to forgive each other. It's a sign that one of them is bleeding. That flesh has been punctured. You see two people in a relationship and they find it hard to forgive each other due to something that has been an offense that has been committed is a sign that the flesh has been punctured. So when Adam said, "This is the flesh of my flesh," what is he saying? I told you already. I said there are two revelations there. Adam is saying, "I am flesh," and Adam is also saying, "She is flesh," meaning that both of them are delicate. Are you getting what I'm saying? What is now the implication of being flesh, of being flesh? It therefore means that both of them can be provoked to anger. That's what some of us don't know. So you are a sister, you are in a relationship with a Christian brother now, because he is a papa or because he is a Christian brother, you take him to be spirit. No, he can also be provoked to anger because he is flesh. He can be punctured. He can also bleed. That your wife is this spiritual person does not mean she cannot also be provoked to anger. Both of you are flesh. So there are tendencies that can come up which you should prevent in order not to find yourself in trouble. When you understand the mystery of the flesh of my flesh, there are many things you will not do. That's why you see some Christian brothers and sisters tempting themselves. Tempting themselves. I've heard the case of a brother and a sister, they are in a relationship, they are not yet married, but close to marriage. They decided to fast. And while they break the fast, they held their hands to pray. And they almost slept with each other. God just saved them. Why? It's a sign that both of them are flesh. The tendency is there. Don't just dress anyhow and say, but it's a Christian brother. If you tempt him, you will get defied. Are you there? And the brother should not also tempt the sister, because both of you are flesh. You are delicate. You can, once you are punctured, you will bleed. Please take note of this. When Adam saw Eve in the garden, he noticed for the first time that, that was the first time in his life that he's going to have that reaction. When Adam saw Eve, now this was what actually provoked that statement, the flesh of my flesh. When Adam saw Eve for the first time in his life, he noticed that he was attracted to one of the creatures of God. He had never felt like that before in his life. That was not the first time he's seen creatures. He has seen lions, he has seen monkeys, he has seen birds of different kinds, he has seen different creatures in the water, he has seen snakes, but he never felt like this in his life. The attraction to Eve was so strong. He was even trying to act like a Christian brother. Okay. He could not even deny it, that he was attracted to her. He has never felt like that before in his life. Are you there? He has, of course, I told you already. He has been seeing different kind of animals years before Eve came. But when he saw Eve, he saw another creature that moved him. He saw another creature that he was attracted to. Are you there? Sometimes, especially in the Christendom, when you see a sister and you feel this attraction, you feel that, hey, I hope I'm not committing sin. No, it can be a reaction. But don't worry, I don't want to jump into that. When I get there, you understand what I'm saying. But Adam felt a strong attraction, something he had never felt before for any other creature in the garden. It is this attraction, this strong attraction. You see, this strong attraction can also be called bleeding. I will explain to you. So that time when Adam saw Eve and he got attracted so strongly to her is a sign that Adam was bleeding at that time. That attraction is bleeding. I will explain to you. Now, bleeding has different meaning. When you offend your partner and you hurt them, you make them bleed. That's negative. By the time they begin to bleed, they find it hard to forgive you. Then some of them go back to level zero. They start building love for you again. That's because you have hurt them, and that hurt that you brought to them has made them bleed. That one is negative. But this bleeding that Adam experienced here is not negative, it's positive, because this bleeding now is defined by that strong attraction that he had towards Eve when he saw her for the first time. That was the first time he's going to be seeing Eve, and he could not deny that strong attraction. Immediately he saw Eve, he began to bleed. That's positive now. Please take note of that. There's positive bleeding, the one that comes when you offend your partner, and then there's negative bleeding, the one that comes when you offend your partner, and there is positive bleeding, the one that has to do with a strong attraction to the opposite sex. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, this attraction is like a magnetic pull, because that part of your flesh where she's cut from will want to draw that flesh to itself. Eve is like a part of Adam's flesh that is cut out. So when Adam saw Eve, that part of Adam that was cut out to form Eve was trying to pull that flesh to itself. And that's what led to that force of attraction. So the flesh of Adam could not deny that this flesh was taken from me. So the attraction was very strong. When Adam saw Eve, he was trying to comport himself. I'm a Christian brother, but he could not deny the attraction was very strong. He could not deny it. Now, this was why he made that confession when he said, "This is the flesh of my flesh," meaning this is the first person that I will have this kind of attraction to in my life. I've never felt like this towards a lion or a gorilla, but this is the first person that I will have this kind of attraction to. Are you there? When you say the flesh of my flesh, you are saying this person is my soft spot. Everybody have their soft spot. Your soft spot is that person that becomes the key to you. Even when you say no, that person that if you meet that person and the person talks to you, you cannot resist the person. That person is your soft spot. So when Adam says, "This is the flesh of my flesh," Adam is actually saying, "This is my soft spot." And the moment Adam made that confession, the devil heard. That was why the devil went after Eve, which was his soft spot. He knows that if he can meet with Adam's soft spot, he has gotten Adam. There are some things you should not say out because the devil will hear. So it is not only Adam that heard, it is not only Eve that heard that when Adam said, "This is the flesh of my flesh," the devil also heard. And that was why the devil came through his soft spot, Eve, and then was able to defeat them. So whoever is the flesh of your flesh becomes your soft spot. It's not only female. As a sister, the flesh of your flesh is your soft spot. Are you there? Because the brother is now your soft spot, he becomes somebody that can speak to you and you will listen. Even when you have said no, when he says do it, you will still have to do it. The person has become your soft spot. So you can't say this is the flesh of my flesh, and that person cannot even counsel you. He can't give you advice and you will listen. No, you are just deceiving yourself. If truly the brother is the flesh of your flesh, then if he talks to you, you will listen. If truly the sister is the flesh of your flesh, if she talks to you, you will listen. Let's stop deceiving ourselves. What Adam said was not a mere confession. The devil came to test it and it worked. So if Adam was lying, we will know, because when the devil came to Eve and deceived her, Adam will find a way to escape. But that was a proof that everything Adam said to Eve was true. Because the devil came to test it, and through that he was able to bring them down. Don't say what you don't mean. Your partner is the flesh of your flesh. They become your soft spot. They are the ones that can talk to you and you listen. Even if you are a papa, you are the disciple of the whole world, your partner must be able to talk to you and you listen, because she should be your soft spot. The brother you are in a relationship with should be able to talk to you and you listen, because he should be your soft spot. Now remember, I spoke to you about attraction. Are you there? Attraction in relation to bleeding. Now, though this force of attraction, we must understand that this force of attraction I'm referring to here, the positive bleeding now, is not always reliable, because the devil can manipulate your emotions to make you attracted to the wrong person if your heart is not guarded with all diligence. Are you there? But for those whose heart is guarded with all diligence, this attraction is reliable and trusted. Let me tell you something. When you meet the flesh of your flesh, you are going to sense a strong attraction. In most cases, it may not be in all cases, but you can ask those people that are married. Are you there? In most cases, when you meet the flesh of your flesh, you will sense a strong attraction. You will be so much attracted to the person, and you will even be asking yourself, have I not seen sisters before? Why is this one? That may even be the first time. Are you there? But that attraction is having conditions. If your heart is not guarded, you can't trust that attraction, because the devil can be pulling you to the wrong person. But if you are a person that you are guarding your heart with all diligence, then that attraction can be trusted, because that can be a sign that you have seen the flesh of your flesh. Are you there? Please take note. I'm not saying this as an absolute statement, so that you will not say, well, the way I'm getting attracted to this brother, that means he's the one. That's not what I'm saying. Check your heart first. Is your heart guarded? If your heart is not guarded with all diligence, that attraction you are having can be a manipulation from the devil. But if you know that your heart is guarded and you are in alignment with the Lord, then you can begin to, walk in the direction of that attraction. And I'm not saying you should just jump to the person. No. Once you sense that attraction like that, you can go to the place of prayer. That's working on it. Going to the place of Lord, I felt this when I saw this person. Please, I need more information. And the Lord will speak to you. So the bleeding of Adam was sin in his attraction to Eve. When you see God's will for your life, the attraction you sense is the bleeding you are experiencing, which can be a sign that you have met the flesh of your flesh. Now, I've just finished explaining the delicate part. I told you when Adam said, "This is the flesh of my flesh," there are two dimensions to it: the delicate part and the pleasure part. So, because of my time, I will quickly run over the pleasure part. So, I'm done with the delicate part. That's the first dimension of the flesh of my flesh. That's the delicate part. Now, the second dimension is pleasure. So when Adam saw Eve and he said, "This is the flesh of my flesh," he's actually saying, "This is somebody that can give me pleasure. This is somebody that can satisfy me." Are you getting what I'm saying? So let's see what the Lord will have us know on the pleasure, the other part of it. Now, if you look at the picture above, this is the picture of a flesh. Now, looking at it from afar, you will see that it looks reddish. That's to show you how delicate it is. Without even puncturing it, the color is red. The main color there is red. That's to tell you how delicate it is. Are you there? Now, if you study the flesh, you will discover that flesh is soft, not as hard as bones. Now, the softness speaks of pleasure and carefulness. A flesh may not crack when they collide together, but there can be injuries that can lead to a release of blood or a loss of blood when they collide together. When you hit two bones together, you hear sounds. But when you hit two flesh together, you don't really get sounds as such. Are you getting what I'm saying? That's the truth. So when you hit two bones together, you get a very loud noise. But when you hit two flesh together, if you will get a noise at all, it will be very low. Are you getting what I'm saying? Now, this shows to us that there is a possibility for two of them, because they are flesh, both of them are flesh. There's a possibility for the two of them to appear quiet, and yet there is trouble. The husband may not be beating his wife, but the words that he says to her can damage her, can cause her more damage than even the blows that he will give to her. That's also applicable to the women too. When we understand that, we are the flesh of each other, we will be careful of what we say to each other. Some people will say, "I don't beat my wife, I don't beat my wife." The question is, what do you say to her? If you say hurtful words to her, you are causing her more, you are inflicting more injury on her than beating her. There are some words you say to your partner that is worse, more worse than you hitting them with a stick. We must understand this. Are you there? Flesh must be handled with care, because once you eat it on something hard, you will lose blood. Take note of that point. Flesh must be handled with care, because if you hit it on something hard, you will lose blood. Your husband is your flesh. If you hit him on something hard, who will lose blood? You will lose blood. That's the mystery there. Because your husband is your flesh, if you hit your husband on something hard, you are the one that will suffer bleeding. If your husband hits you on something hard and you get injured, he is the one that will suffer bleeding. So the one that is beating his wife lacks wisdom, because the effect of that thing is doing will be more heavy on him in time to come than the woman. The woman will just have physical injuries, and then with time she will heal up. But you see the man that's doing that thing, his own will be more worse, because this is a mystery. If you hit your flesh, and it gets punctured, you are the one that will bleed. So if the husband decides to puncture the wife, he will bleed. If the wife decides to puncture the husband, the wife will bleed. That's the mystery. So you are if you try to harm your partner, you are just setting yourself up, because you are causing that harm. You are the one that will bleed. It's just like somebody, you took a blade and you now cut yourself. Who will bleed? You are the one that will bleed, because what you think you are doing to her, you're actually doing it to yourself. And what she thinks she's doing to you, she's doing it to herself. So a woman that honors her husband is she's preserving herself in that home. She's preserving her space. And a man that loves his wife is also helping himself, because he's helping his wife to submit to him more. Submission for some women is hard, because even the man is not doing what he's supposed to do. Let's take note of this. So if you injure your flesh, you will be wounded and you will lose blood. Now, the blood you will lose can now be trust. Yes. When I say you will lose blood, I'm not talking about physical blood. The blood you will lose can be trust. Take for instance. Let me give you an example of how you can puncture your flesh. For instance, you are in a relationship and you are telling lies. You are telling lies. You are always telling lies. Everything you are saying is a lie. When you are there, you say you are not there. When you do something, you say you are not doing something. You don't do it. And see, anytime you manifest in the flesh, towards your partner, you are puncturing your flesh. Anytime you move by the flesh to act against your partner, you are puncturing your flesh. The day that one we discover you are lying, the day we discover you are lying, that's the day you will lose blood. And the blood you will lose is that you will lose trust, because it will be hard for him to trust you again. It will be hard for her to trust you again, because even if you now say the truth now, he will think you are still lying. She will think you are still lying. Let me tell you one secret. If you tell 100 truths and you tell one lie, the day that lie is discovered, every other truth you say is no longer effective. They will begin to assume that you are still lying. This is why you have to be careful. Don't puncture your flesh because you will bleed. Take note of that. There are some sisters who will deliberately come and seduce their partner. They feel maybe if they do something carnal with each other, the brother will not leave her, or the sister will not leave him. You don't know that thing you are doing, you are puncturing yourself. You will lose blood. You are the one that will lose blood. You are not married, you are sleeping with each other, you are having sex. You are puncturing yourself and you will lose blood. That blood you will lose is your worth. You will lose your self-worth. So now he will dump you and go and meet another person. Because you don't know that anytime you move by the flesh, you are puncturing yourself. So at the slight of any little argument now, you're already putting down your skirt. And everything is sex. You are puncturing yourself and you will lose blood. Many of us will lose our relationship because we punctured ourselves. That's why that relationship ended. Many relationships that is ordained by God did not actually lead to marriage because they punctured their flesh. And because they lose blood, they lost the relationship. All right, just like I told you, the second dimension of this is pleasure. When you say the flesh of my flesh, you are saying this is somebody I can have pleasure with. Now, this I want to say now is for the married people. Are you with me? If you are married, your wife is the flesh of your flesh. Your husband is the flesh of your flesh. There are things you can do together that you cannot do with anyone else. Are you getting what I'm saying? Your partner have access to your body and is the only one that have that access. Even your pastor does not have it. Why? Because he is the flesh of your flesh. Because she is the flesh of your flesh. That's why the wife can even go naked before her husband. The husband can go naked before his wife. Why are they not ashamed? Because they are the flesh of each other. In the Garden of Eden, both of them were naked, and yet they were not ashamed. Why? Because they are the flesh of each other. That's the truth. So that's the pleasure part of it. Let's not be too spiritual. There's pleasure in this thing. When you say relationship, there's pleasure there. Marriage, there's pleasure there. But because we are wise people, we will not only focus on the pleasure. There are other things to also note, not just pleasure, not just the bodily pleasure that you stand to get. Are you getting what I'm saying? And then, if you are not married, there are still pleasures that you get. Though this pleasure may now not be about sex, but there are still pleasures you get. For example, if you are in a relationship, you say sweet words to each other. Oh, you are the best. Thank you so much. You are lovely. You are all these things we say. Oh, you are just the best. Thank God I found you. Those kind of things you say. That's the pleasure. The sister will just be blushing somewhere. Maybe she's chatting, and the brother said, "Oh, you are the best. Thank God I found you." She will just be blushing. You know the way sisters do. I don't know what they do. Maybe, please, what do they do? They say, hey, they say, she's blushing. That's part of the pleasure. And sister too, we say, you are just the best brother. Thank God I found you. Hey, the head of the brother will swell. That's part of the pleasure. Are you getting what I'm saying? But because we are children of God, we must not look away from the delicate part. If you focus on only the pleasure, you will set yourself up for temptation. So you have to balance it to maintain balance. You have to balance it to maintain balance. So once again tonight, I want to appreciate you. Thank you so much for having me. This is the last day of the program. Thank you so much for having me. I'm grateful, and I want to believe the Lord has sent His word to you. I pray for everyone listening to me that God will guide you. You will not make the wrong choice. You will not find yourself in the wrong relationship. When it is time for you to choose, God will bring to you the bone of your bones, and He will bring to you the flesh of your flesh in the name of Jesus. Now, this is the word of the Lord to someone listening to me. The Lord is saying, don't be scared of the examples you are seeing around. There are marriages, even in your family, that are not working, and you are getting scared. If this is married, then I don't think I will marry. The Lord is saying, don't be scared. Your own will be different. Your own will be better. God bless you. It's not compulsory that the purpose of the man and the woman are the same. Are you there? But one thing is, there must be similarities. When we say something is similar, we are not saying they are the same. Similarity in Yoruba means ojora. So the purposes of the two of them may not be the same, but it should be similar. So it's that similarity that will help them to maintain oneness, but not like it is totally apart. That one will be hard. I hope you have answered your question.